There's one key philosophy that young men need to be healthy, successful, and sane in the world today. I have learnt this the hard way, so you do not have to. Put simply, we can call this a philosophy of restraint. There's a bit more to it than just don't do this. There's a lot more to it than that, actually. So we're going to get into that over the next 10 minutes. All right, my own personal experience, I won't bore you too much with the details. I was raised in what Thomas Sowell would call the unconstrained vision, that we're sort of perfect deep down. We just have to get back to our original goodness, and that's all we need. And if we can do that, we can just do whatever we want. Just do whatever we want, as long as it's not directly hurting anyone else. Sort of sounds good. It's kind of the basis of liberal modernity, right? Where it led me was drug addiction, compulsive sexual issues, all kinds of problems. And I gradually saw it out, first of all, through martial arts. So I started doing martial arts at 18 years old. And I was like, oh, I'm being told what to do. I have to wear a uniform. There's strict rules. I say yes, hi, when sensei says yes. And I loved it. I thought this is very strange. As someone who's kind of raised in liberal modernity and quite a liberal family as well, I thought, why am I enjoying this? What it really comes down to is boundaries, right? I was like, oh, discipline, boundaries. And I instinctively, intuitively felt that. It's the same when you see a karate class for young guys or whatever it is. They instinctively understand that that's important. We actually have a quite deep, I'd say, moral intuition that restraint is necessary. The unconstrained vision, on the other hand, says, just do what you want, right? That as long as you're not directly damaging someone else. Well, even that doesn't quite make sense, right? So let's say you don't fulfill your potential, you just sit on the couch playing computer games and eating Doritos, right? Society just lost out. Everything we do is actually impacting the wider world. We're always morally connected. We're in a web of interbeing with everyone else in the world. There's no act which doesn't impact other people deeply. Now, of course, we might have a legal act, so it's directly like stealing and killing someone directly impacts someone else's freedom. But the key moral principle, I don't think, is freedom. I think this idea of freedom is very childish. I know this might offend some American listeners who kind of, freedom's almost a religion in America. When I hear people talking about freedom like too much, it just sounds like kids to me. It's like, I want to do what I want to do. It's always freedom to do whatever they want rather than freedom from. Other people have made this distinction. Now, as someone that ended up alcoholic, drug addict, freedom from is pretty important. Freedom to do whatever you want generally ends up in slavery. So I had interviewed Anna Lembke, who wrote Dopamine Nation, which is a book around addictions and compulsions and why we do what we do. She basically just said, if you don't have constraint, you will get addicted, you will end up in hell. And there is a religious element to this. We think hell is being told what to do, being told off, it's very childish view of hell. Actually, hell is permissive. Hell is doing whatever the hell you want, and then you want to do it more, and then you have to do it more. And pretty soon you're a slave to your desires. So if you think of the unconstrained vision, it says, oh, little kids are like little angels. It's like, have you been around any kids? I mean, have you seen a 2-year-old? Have you seen a toddler that has no constraint? A 2-year-old has no constraint. When they're emotional, they throw themselves on the floor and scream and shout in the supermarket because their mum won't get them a chocolate bar or whatever. Okay, is that really what you want to be as a man? Do you really think that's a route to success? Society generally has removed constraints, right? We used to have religious constraints, far more social constraints. It's happened starting in the 60s, free love movement. We thought we're free, I do what I want to do. And often that leads to a short-term benefit for the individual or even to society. Like a lot of creativity came out in the 60s, right? But actually it's a short-term benefit. You get a short-term gain. So what is discipline? Discipline is remembering what you love. Discipline is understanding that there are trade-offs, right? There's no optimization, only trade-offs, another Thomas Sowell thing. Understanding that we need to delay gratification, that we may have to do something uncomfortable to have more pleasure later or to build our strength. So, you have the cold shower, it's not very nice, not very pleasant, don't feel like it in the morning, but afterwards I get a nice kind of hit for a few hours, I've got energy for the day, and I'm also building my capacity to deal with difficulty. As cultures go into decline, and we are in a declining sort of decadent culture now, as cultures go into decline, what we find is that they increasingly seek hedonism rather than meaning, get addicted to that. They want the easy life, the soft life, the pleasurable life all the time. And as a result, meaning suffers, which is actually what makes us happy. So the pursuit of pleasure is part of happiness. The Greeks would break it down into, contribution, pleasure, meaning. different elements of eudaimonia, human flourishing, they would call it. It's a much better term. Human flourishing, it sort of sounds flowery, but it's like, what is it to be human? It means meaning. It means the confrontation with reality. It doesn't just mean having nice things. Now we live in a time where there's lots of physical luxuries. We get used to sweet foods and comfortable things, and it's room temperature, and it's all very nice. So that means we have to deliberately create hardships for ourselves, like the weightlifting, the martial arts, the cold showers, whatever. This is what leads us to become strong. This is hormosis, basic training principle that's there. And again, it's restraint. Let's take a bodybuilder, right? You think a bodybuilder is successful because they're the one who pumps the most weight in the gym. It's like, well, yeah, it's actually more about restraint. It's about the fact they get to bed on time. They don't do things that stress them out. Their diet's a huge one, right? They don't eat certain foods. I was talking to someone who was really, big on nutrition. I said, what should I eat to be healthy? What supplement should I add? Should I take zinc or fish oils or magnesium? He said, well, you can take those if you want. They're all pretty good ones. He said, but the key thing is what not to eat. I was like, I wish you hadn't said that. I just wanted to pop the pill, And now I get told I have to restrain myself. So how do you restrain yourself? One is a habit, right? You get better at this philosophy of restraint. It's also a practice of restraint. So for example, I'm in a normal heterosexual relationship. By the way, what color is this t-shirt? It's pinkish, right? If you said like coral or salmon, get off this video. This doesn't apply to you. Anyway, so I'm in a normal heterosexual relationship, and I've made it a practice to like not look at other women. I'm walking around in Italy, the sun's out, and by the lake, of course, God, instinct is just go, no, don't do it. Something I actually took from Muslim friends. Doesn't have to be like whipping myself or calling myself a bad person. I just don't take a second look at least, right? First look, sometimes it's accident. Well, not a second look. Why not? That's becoming a habit. Interesting. I've been doing that for about a year or so, and I just find myself looking a lot less now. It just becomes easier. It's the same with sobriety, right? Like I'm 18 a bit years sober. I don't even really think about it anymore. It's not hard for me to not drink alcohol. The first week was really hard. First couple of months was pretty hard. After a year, it was just like a lot easier. And now it's just a habit. So one way we get good at restraint is habit. Second way is to make sure you have connected to a source of meaning. That could be religion, spirituality, understanding life purpose. Once you have meaning, you have a reason not to do things. Like last night, staying up late, I'm doom scrolling. My girlfriend says, come on, come to sleep. And I'm like, you know what? I've got work, so there's things I want to do well tomorrow. I'm teaching, I'm making content. I want to do that well. So I had a reason to go to bed. That's really important, or else why are you bothering to restrain yourself, right? Community, being in communities of restraint, being around other people where it's normal not just to eat crap, not just to take, snort coke at the weekend, whatever it is, where it's normal to be restrained. So the more you normalize that, the better. Self-regulation techniques. Often what we're doing when we get the quick fix of something is we're just trying to get that little thing to get through the day. And I get it, life is hard, a lot of difficult things right now. The economy sucks, whatever sucks, mass migration, blah, blah, blah. We need to learn to take a breath. We need to learn to regulate ourselves, right? So we're not regulating ourselves with these things that have a long-term cost. Most of all, though, underpinning all these practices and all these friends, all these different things, it's a philosophy of restraint, understanding that less is more, getting past this sort of childish, immature urge to I'll do what I want all the time. That's not freedom. That's another kind of slavery. True freedom is actually choosing restraints, actually having consciousness and awareness around that. This, I think, is the most important philosophy for young guys to get. If you want to be healthy, you want a good relationship, you want to be successful, this is the important one.